Have you ever wondered what secrets have been buried for centuries, hidden in places you'd least expect? A rare, ancient book, lost in a university library for years, has just revealed the dark truths of a forgotten society, and what we've never known could change history forever. This is a story from Black Voice Dramatic Stories, where unheard voices will leave you in shock. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and share your comment to join me in uncovering more dramatic tales. The Forgotten Pages, A Black Voice. Dramatic Story. A heavy silence fell over the university library, the kind of stillness that felt like time itself had come to a halt. The faint rustling of pages being turned was the only sound, and even that seemed to be absorbed by the towering shelves, each filled with the wisdom and secrets of centuries past. It was here, among the dust and shadows, that Clara stumbled upon something that would shatter her understanding of history forever. Clara was no ordinary student. A history major, she had spent the past 4 years buried in books, seeking knowledge, in the forgotten corners of her university's vast archives. Yet nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to uncover. She had always felt like an outsider in the academic world, a woman whose voice often went unheard in a sea of powerful male scholars. But this discovery, this was different. It was as though the universe had finally given her the key to something ancient, something profound. The book, bound in cracked leather with pages that seemed to whisper when touched, had been tucked away behind a stack of forgotten journals. It was old, far older than anything Clara had ever seen in the library's collection. The title, almost faded beyond recognition, read The Black Society, Shatters of History. It was a relic from a time no one seemed to remember, and its mere existence was a mystery. But as Clara flipped through the pages, she realized that the society it described wasn't just forgotten, it had been deliberately erased. The words leaped off the pages, dark and haunting, chronicling a secret organization that had existed for centuries. The members of this society had shaped history in ways no one could ever have imagined, manipulating wars, controlling economies, and erasing entire civilizations from memory. It was a chilling realization that sent a shiver down Clara's spine. She wasn't just reading about history, she was uncovering a conspiracy that could change the world. Her hands trembled as she turned the pages, each one revealing more horrifying details. The society's influence was vast, stretching across continents and generations. They had infiltrated the most powerful institutions, governments, churches, even universities. And Clara's university, with its grand reputation, had been one of their main sanctuaries. She could hardly believe what she was reading. These were the hidden voices of history, the ones whose power had been buried beneath layers of false narratives. As she read deeper, Clara felt a sense of unease grow within her. The weight of the knowledge was almost suffocating. She was no longer just a student, she was a witness to a truth that could destroy everything she had ever known. But more than that, she felt a deep, gnawing anger. Why had this been hidden? Why had the world been kept in the dark? And most importantly, why had she, Clara, a woman, a history student, been the one to find it? The hours passed unnoticed, and Clara was lost in the book's pages. But she wasn't alone. From the far corner of the library, she could feel someone watching her, a presence that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. She looked up startled but saw no one. The place was empty. Just her and the book, or so she thought. A sudden noise echoed through the library, a creak of a floorboard, a soft shuffle of feet. Clara's heart raced. She could hear the whisper of something in the air, something sinister. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, his face partially obscured by a hood. Clara froze. She had never seen him before. He was no student, no professor. He was a stranger, but the look in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. He knew exactly what she had found. "Put the book down," the man said, his voice low and dangerous. Clara's eyes widened. She didn't move. She couldn't move. The book in her hands felt heavier now, almost alive, as if it were calling out to her. "No," Clara said, her voice shaking, but filled with a newfound determination. This is the truth. This is history. You can't just erase it." The man's eyes darkened. You have no idea what you're dealing with. That book is more dangerous than you could ever understand. It's not just knowledge, it's a weapon, and it's not meant for someone like you. Clara's mind raced. What did he mean by someone like you? She wasn't about to let anyone intimidate her, not after everything she had learned. Not after the walls she had spent her life building came crumbling down with every word she read. I don't care what it is, she spat, clutching the book tighter. I'm not letting you erase it. I'm going to make sure the world knows. The man stepped forward, his shadow swallowing her whole. Clara's breath quickened, her heart pounded. She could feel the power of the book surging through her, like an electric current. It was alive, like it was choosing her. You're playing a dangerous game, Clara, he warned. They will come for you, and when they do, no one will be able to protect you. Clara stood tall, refusing to back down. Then I'll make sure they hear me. The world will know what's been hidden. The truth is more powerful than any secret society. For a moment, there was silence. The man's eyes narrowed as though sizing her up. Then with a slow, deliberate movement, he turned and disappeared back into the shadows, leaving Clara standing alone, clutching the book. The library was silent again, but the weight of her discovery hung heavy in the air. Clara knew one thing. For certain, her life had changed forever. She had uncovered a truth that could tear the world apart, and now she had to decide what to do with it. The danger was real. The society was watching, but Clara was no longer afraid. She was ready to expose the truth no matter the cost, and deep inside a fierce fire burned within her. The voices of history would no longer be silenced. Clara's heart raced as she made her way to the exit. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, questions, doubts, fear, and excitement. But she knew one thing for sure. She was not going to let this secret society remain in the shadows any longer. The world deserved to know what had been hidden from them for so long. With every step, Clara's resolve grew stronger. She had uncovered the truth. Now, she would make sure it was heard. The forgotten pages. A black voice. Dramatic story from the perspective of Thomas, the stranger. Thomas had been watching her for days. He had seen her enter the library every morning, her head buried in books, eyes focused on ancient pages. But today was different. He had noticed the change in her demeanor, the way her fingers hesitated as they flipped the pages, as though something she had read had struck her deeper than any history lesson ever had. He saw the spark in her eyes, the way she was no longer just a student searching for facts, but someone uncovering a truth too dangerous to understand. His mission had always been simple: ensure the secrets stayed buried. They had entrusted him with the task of maintaining silence. They who had watched the world evolve, unseen, shaping the course of history from the shadows. For centuries, their influence had remained untouched. And then Clara found the book. It had been years since anyone had dared to uncover their legacy, and yet, here she was, an inquisitive history major, on the verge of exposing what was never meant to be found. Thomas's mind was conflicted. He was just one of the many who had sworn an oath to protect the society's secrets, to prevent anyone from unearthing what could unravel everything they had worked to protect. But Clara, there was something different about her, something about the way she approached the book, the way she absorbed the knowledge, as though it was calling out to her. He was supposed to stop her, to scare her into forgetting what she had learned, but part of him hesitated. He watched her, her brow furrowed, absorbed in the pages that seemed to hold more than just history. They held power. He could feel the weight of that power, and it tugged at something deep inside him. The dilemmas he approached her, he knew the moment was near. The decision he had fought with for weeks was about to be made. He had been following her, tracking her every move since that first day. She was always alone, always so intent on the book. It was as if the book had chosen her. But why? Why Clara? A woman, no less. Women were never meant to discover their society's truths. That was part of the unwritten rule. She was not supposed to find it. He had never expected anyone like Clara. She wasn't like the others who had come before her. People who searched for answers but lacked the grit to dig too deep. Clara, however, was different. He saw the fire in her eyes, the hunger for the truth. He saw her push past the surface, the innocent curiosity, and dive into the darkness beneath it. All. But this was where it all began to fall apart. Thomas knew what the society would do if they knew. They would eliminate the threat. They always did. It wasn't just about the secrets, it was about control. And Clara was not someone who could be controlled. When she stood up to him, that was the moment he had feared. The moment she refused to back down. She had been brave. Too brave. And now his worst fear had come true. Clara was going to expose everything. He could see it in her eyes. She wasn't afraid. The confrontation. "Put the book down," he had said, his voice cold, detached. It was the tone he had practiced over the years, the voice that made people listen. But Clara didn't flinch. She looked at him, defiant. The look in her eyes sent a chill down his spine. This wasn't just some rebellious student. She was a force that was beyond his reach. "No," she had responded, her voice shaky but firm. This is the truth. This is history. You can't just erase it." Thomas clenched his fists, feeling the pull of something darker within him. Part of him wanted to warn her, to protect her from what was coming. He could see the danger, the abyss she was about to step into. But the other part of him knew that she had already crossed the line. She was too deep into it now. The truth was too dangerous. "You don't understand," he warned, stepping closer. "That book, it's not just knowledge. It's a weapon. You're not supposed to have it. You're not supposed to know." Her eyes met his, and for a split second he saw something he hadn't expected. Fear. Yes, she was afraid. But not for herself. Clara was afraid of the world never knowing what had been hidden. She was afraid of the truth staying buried. "I don't care what it is," she had spat. "I'm not letting you erase it. I'm going to make sure the world knows." For the first time in years, Thomas faltered. His mission was to stop people like her, to keep them silent. But here she was, standing her ground, refusing to back down. She wasn't scared, and the more he looked at her, the more he realized that this wasn't just about stopping a single person from revealing their society's truth. This was about something bigger. The moment of truth. In that moment, Thomas was torn. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him, the burden of what he knew. If he let her walk away with the book, everything would change. The society would no longer be able to control the narrative. The world would change, and there would be no going back. But there was something else. Something he hadn't anticipated. As Clara stood there, her hands trembling but unwavering, Thomas saw the truth in her eyes. The same truth that had once consumed him. The desire to expose the hidden, the desire to see the truth in the light, even if it meant bringing chaos to the world. Maybe Clara was the key. Maybe, for the first time, the society had made a mistake in thinking it could control everything. Maybe the world was ready for the truth. Thomas took a step back, his heart racing. He had a choice to make. His duty, his allegiance, everything. He had fought for said one thing, but Clara's defiance, her unwavering desire for the truth made him question everything. For the first time in his life, Thomas wondered if perhaps it was time for the secrets to be exposed. The decision was his to make, and in that instant he knew he had lost the battle. The forgotten pages, a black voice. Dramatic story, Clara's discovery, and the point of no return. Clara's breath quickened, the weight of the book almost unbearable in her hands. It was no longer just a discovery. It had become her destiny. Every page, every word revealed not only the forgotten history of a secret society, but also the chilling realization that the world she had known was built on lies. Lies woven by those who had buried the truth for centuries. The room felt suffocating, As Clara turned the page once more, her fingers trembling with anticipation, she couldn't stop now. The knowledge was too dangerous, too powerful. The society had controlled the flow of history for far too long, and she, Clara, the quiet student, was the one to bring it all down. Her heart raced as she read the final lines of the book, confirming what she had feared. The society still exists. Their influence was deeper, darker, and more pervasive than she had ever imagined. They had embedded themselves into the very fabric of power, government, academia, corporations, and even the media. The very air she breathed had been shaped by their hands, but as the reality set in, Clara felt a rising sense of fear. She had uncovered the truth, but now she knew she couldn't keep it to herself. The society would come for her. They would hunt her down, and if they caught her, there would be no one left to expose their dark reign. The weight of the truth felt crushing, and in that moment she wondered if she had made a mistake. Just then, the door to the library creaked open, and Clara froze. The man in the shadows, Thomas, stepped into the library, his presence overwhelming. His gaze locked onto Clara immediately. She knew he was there for one reason, to silence her. But as he stepped closer, Clara couldn't help but notice the weariness in his eyes. The calm facade he always wore was gone. He was no longer just the man sent to protect the secrets. He was someone torn, someone conflicted. He was a man divided between duty and something deeper, something personal. "You can't keep it, Clara," Thomas said, his voice flat, but there was a tremor there, just a hint. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. They'll kill you. You don't want to do this, not now." Clara stood her ground, holding the book in her hands, though her fingers were sore from the tight grip. "I understand more than you. Think, Thomas. I understand that people have died to keep this secret, that millions have suffered because of this society. I'm not going to let them get away with it anymore." Thomas shook his head. "You don't get it. This is bigger than you, bigger than anyone. You think exposing them will change things? You're wrong. All you'll do is bring chaos. They've always been in control, and you—" He stepped forward, his voice rising. "You're nothing but a pawn in their game." Clara's heart pounded as the words hung in the air. Thomas's voice was filled with a desperation she hadn't expected. Was he warning her out of concern? Or was it something else? Was he trying to stop her because he was too deep in the web of the society to see the truth himself? The ultimate choice. "Then let them come for me," Clara shouted, her voice raw with emotion. "Let them try. I won't back down. I'll expose them for what they are. Everything they've done, everything they've hidden." Thomas's eyes darkened, his jaw tightened, and for a moment, Clara saw something flicker behind. His gaze, a struggle, a conflict. She had seen it in the way he hesitated when he first spoke to her. He didn't want to hurt her. He didn't want to stop her. And yet, duty had a way of chaining people, a way of making them do things they would never choose for themselves. "I've been following them for years," Thomas said, his voice quieter now. But the pain in it was palpable. "I know what they're capable of. I've seen them destroy lives. They don't care about people. They don't care about you. They'll use you and cast you aside the moment you're no longer useful. You don't understand the weight of this. They've always controlled everything. And if you keep going, you'll be destroyed." Clara's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, fear, anger, and something else she hadn't expected. Doubt. Thomas's words planted a seed of uncertainty. Could she really take on a power so vast, so ingrained in the very foundation of society? Was she just a pawn in a game too big for her to understand? But as Clara looked at him, she knew she couldn't turn back. The truth had already set its roots in her soul. She had made her choice. She couldn't walk away from it. "Not now. I'm not afraid of them," Clara whispered, her voice steadier now. "I won't let them control me. I won't let them control the world." Thomas's eyes softened for a brief moment, and in that instant, Clara saw the man he used to be, the man who had once believed in the cause, in the power of the society he served. But the world had changed him. It had broken him. And now, Clara realized, he was as trapped as she was. They both were. The final confrontation, Clara, Thomas said, his voice barely above a whisper. I've tried to protect you. I didn't want you to get caught in this. But now I can't protect you anymore. The word stung. But Clara didn't flinch. She had made her decision. She stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Then don't protect me, she said softly. Help me. Help me expose them. Thomas stared at her, his gaze intense, searching. He was torn. He knew the consequences. He knew that if Clara went forward, she would be marked for death. But he also knew that deep down, they both wanted the same thing, to see the truth come to light, no matter the cost. The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken words. Finally, Thomas spoke, his voice cracking. You're right, I can't stop you, but you need to understand something. He stepped closer, his breath heavy with regret. If you expose them, you'll never be safe. They'll come for you, they'll make you pay. And there's nothing I can do to save you. Clara nodded, her heart heavy, but her resolve unwavering. Then I'll face them. But I won't be alone. The decision. Thomas looked at her one last time, his heart breaking. He knew what she was about to face. And though every part of him wanted to stop her, to pull her back from the edge, he couldn't. Clara had chosen her path. She had chosen the truth. And in that moment, he understood something. He was no longer the protector. Clara was. Good luck, Clara, he whispered, his voice filled with sorrow and admiration. With a final glance, he turned away and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Clara standing alone, the weight of the world pressing down on her. She held the book tightly in her hands, knowing that the road ahead would be perilous. But she also knew one thing. The truth would never be silenced again. Clara stood there for a moment, her mind racing. The words she had just heard from Thomas, the weight of them, the warning in his voice, echoed through her mind. They'll come for you. The threat was real. The society was real. But so was the truth she had uncovered. She had a choice to make, now, and there was no turning back. Clara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She wasn't going to let fear control her. She had the power of knowledge in her hands, and that power meant more than her safety. The truth was the only weapon that could bring the shadows to light, the only weapon that could destroy the chains the society had wrapped around the world for centuries. She looked around the library, as if the walls themselves were watching her. This place had been her sanctuary for so long, a place where the pursuit of knowledge was sacred. But now, it felt like a prison. The weight of the book in her hands felt heavier than ever. And it wasn't just the physical weight, it was the burden of the knowledge it contained. Knowledge that could shatter everything she had ever known. As she turned to leave, Clara's eyes briefly landed on the window, where the early evening light filtered through the dusty air. For a fleeting moment, she wondered what the world would look like once the truth was out. Would it be a better place? Or would everything she'd ever known come crashing down? Her footsteps echoed in the empty hallway as she walked toward the exit. The book was a ticking time bomb in her hands, and she could feel the seconds counting down. Every step she took, every move she made, led her closer to the inevitable confrontation with the society. They would come for her. But Clara was ready. She had no choice now but to face them head on. Just as she reached the door, she heard a sound behind her. Footsteps, faint but unmistakable. Her heart skipped a beat. She turned, expecting to see Thomas, but instead she saw a figure emerging from the shadows, a figure she hadn't seen before, a woman. Tall, with sharp features and eyes that glowed with a strange intensity. Her presence sent a chill down Clara's spine. "You shouldn't have done it," the woman said, her voice smooth but cold. "You've crossed a line, and now, there's no going back." Clara stood her ground, gripping the book tighter. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice trembling slightly, but laced with defiance. The woman smiled, a cold, calculating smile that made Clara's blood run cold. "I am someone who knows exactly what you found, and I'm here to make sure you never share it with anyone." Clara's mind raced. She had been warned, but the reality of it, the threat of someone coming after her, felt so much more real now. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to show fear. She had come too far to back down. "You won't stop me," Clara said, her voice steady despite the terror threatening to bubble up. "You can try, but I will expose the Poe. Truth, no one can stop me now." The woman's expression hardened. "We'll see about that." In an instant, the woman lunged toward Clara, her hand reaching for the book. Clara's heart raced as she stepped back, clutching the book even tighter to her chest. But as the woman reached out, Clara did something unexpected. She pivoted on her heel and ran. She had no idea if she could outrun the woman, but she had no choice. The truth had to get out, and if she didn't act fast, she would lose everything. The woman's voice followed her, cold and threatening. "You can't run forever, Clara. The society will find you." Clara's mind raced as she ran. But she knew one thing. She couldn't let them win. She couldn't let them bury the truth. Not now. Not ever. The Forgotten Pages. A Black Voice dramatic story, finale. Clara's feet pounded against the cold, concrete floor as she ran through the dimly lit hallways of the university. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her heart pounding in her chest. The woman's footsteps were growing louder behind her, echoing in the corridors. But Clara didn't dare look back. She couldn't afford to stop. She couldn't afford to let fear control her. The book, the secret society, the truth, everything was at stake now. This wasn't just about her anymore. It wasn't about her safety or the danger that loomed in the shadows. This was about the world knowing what had been hidden for so long, about breaking free from the chains that had bound humanity to ignorance. It was about justice. She reached the end of the hallway and flung open the heavy door to the outside, the cool night air hitting her face like a slap. For a moment, she stood there, gasping for air, the weight of the book still in her hands. She had to get it to the world. She had to share what she had uncovered, no matter the cost. Suddenly, she heard the sound of the woman's voice, sharp and cold, cutting through the air. "You can't escape, Clara. The society's reach is far too great." Clara turned to face the woman, her resolve solidifying like steel. "You're wrong," she said, her voice steady. "The truth always finds a way out. And this time, it's me who's going to make sure it does." For a moment, the woman's eyes narrowed, a flicker of something akin to frustration crossing her features. Then, with a sudden, fluid motion, the woman lunged, her hand reaching out toward Clara's chest. But Clara was ready. With one swift movement, she stepped to the side, evading the woman's grasp. And in that moment, she made her move. The book was gone. Clara had dropped it into the rushing stream of the nearby river, where the water could carry it away, out of reach of the society, and into the hands of those who needed to hear it most. The woman's scream of frustration echoed behind her, but Clara didn't look back. She knew what she had done was irreversible. There was no turning back from this, as Clara stood there watching the river swallow the book, her body trembling with exhaustion. She realized something. The truth wasn't just about exposing the past. It was about freeing people from the lies they had been living. It wasn't about destroying everything. It was about creating a world where the truth could finally thrive. And no matter how much danger she had faced, it was worth it. The lesson, the journey Clara had just undertaken, was one of courage, self-discovery, and sacrifice. She had gone up against forces much larger than herself, forces that had controlled history, manipulated reality, and kept the world in the dark. And yet, in the end, it wasn't her strength that made the difference. It was her belief in something greater than herself. It was her unwavering commitment to the truth, no matter the personal cost. Clara's story serves as a reminder that sometimes the truth is the most dangerous weapon of all. It can tear down systems of power, expose lies, and change the course of history. But the truth is also what sets people free. It empowers them to see the world as it truly is, not as others want them to see it. It's what allows people to make choices that matter, to fight for justice, and to challenge the status quo. In today's world, where misinformation spreads like wildfire and the powerful often control the narrative, Clara's story serves as a powerful call to action. We all have a responsibility to seek the truth, to question what we're told, and to never stop searching for what lies beneath the surface. We must be brave enough to speak out, even when it's uncomfortable or dangerous, because if we don't, the lies will continue to grow and the powerful will keep hiding the truth from us. But the lesson doesn't stop there. It's also about the strength to stand firm in the face of adversity, to trust in your own voice and your own power. Clara could have turned back. She could have let fear stop her, but she didn't. And that decision, that refusal to back down, made all the difference. She showed that it's not the size of the fight in you that matters. It's the size of the truth you carry inside. A call to action. Clara's journey is one that we all can relate to. Whether we're facing the challenges of our own personal battles or fighting for a cause greater than ourselves, the message is clear. We cannot afford to stay silent. We must challenge the lies, the oppression, and the manipulation that try to keep us in the dark. We must be the voice for the voiceless and stand up for what is right, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against us. And just like Clara, we must be willing to make the difficult choices. Sometimes standing up for the truth means sacrificing our own safety, our comfort, or even our future. But the rewards are far greater. When we choose to speak out, to seek the truth, we not only change our own lives, we change the world. Now it's your turn. What truth are you ready to uncover? What are you willing to fight for? The world needs more voices like Clara's, voices that refuse to be silenced, voices that challenge the lies, and voices that will never back down in the pursuit of justice. Subscribe, like, and comment to join the movement. Share your thoughts, your own stories of standing up for what's right, and let's continue this journey together. The truth is waiting to be discovered, and it starts with us.